So, is Nintendo killing off physical media? I don't think so, but let me show you what I mean. Okay, so first things first, sorry for the setup. For some reason, my editing and capture card and everything is just bummed out, so I have to do this all on my phone. And I'm not an expert on editing on phone, so I'm sorry, this is the best I could do. So, first things first, just let me show you some stats when it comes to physical media. Okay, I drawed it. Nice, made a little paragraph here. Switch 1 cartridges max out at 60 megabytes per second. We don't know the exact speeds of the Switch 2 cartridges, but we know that they're a lot faster and, probably in the ballpark of the new SD Express cards, which is mandatory for the new Switch 2. And finally, we have the old mechanical hard drives, which is 55 megabytes per second, equivalent in speed to the Switch 1 cartridges. So I just want you to imagine a scenario here. If you purchased a physical version of, say, Mario Kart World, and Nintendo chose not to do the new Switch, the faster Switch card, but kept the old cartridges, I think very quickly you are going to regret your purchase. Now, if you have this card and you want to play alongside your friends who all purchased the digital version, they are going to enjoy speeds up to 900 megabytes per second from their SD Express card. And we don't even know how fast the internal hard drive is. It might be an NVMe, it might be 7,000 megabytes per second. But that's not important right now. If they want to play together and there's a loading screen in your Switch 1 game, and that loading screen is 15 seconds, that seems fair. That's probably the equivalent of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Your friends would only have to wait 1 second comparative to your 15 seconds. And then we have to start talking about asset loading, texture loading, level of details, simple things like going in and out in menus. It just keeps piling on and on how much this speed matters. And just to prove a point here. So in the background, I have my Xbox One X, and this machine is slightly more powerful than Switch 2. However, it is stuck with, as you saw here, an internal hard disk. Now I have Crash Team Racing. It's the only physical game I, technically speaking, own on the console, but it is installed on my hard disk. Now I just want to show you how long it takes if the Switch 2 is not quite, but it's close to the power of the Xbox One X. I know it's not that powerful, right? But it was limited by Switch 1 cartridge speeds. Just take a look at the mismatch in power here. I'm gonna skip these cutscenes as fast as I possibly can, and I want to go into a race in single player mode. And you can just see how long this is going to take. Now imagine someone like Capcom who wants Nintendo to have Monster Hunter Wilds on their system. There was a bit of a controversy. A lot of PC players couldn't play it because they had old mechanical hard drives, like we see here on the Xbox, which is the same speed as Switch 1 cartridges. The game simply won't run because they are too slow. It cannot stream assets and texture and all this stuff in fast enough for the game to run properly. And this is a game in 2025. These things are just starting to become more and more of a norm. And in 2 or 3 years, this is going to be a bigger and bigger problem where everything needs the faster speeds. So imagine if Nintendo, and so we're still not in a race here. Let's go. Crash Cove. Still not racing, mind you, but we're getting there. Imagine if Nintendo kept the old Switch 1 cartridges and third parties wanted to make crossovers or make their new games released on the system. It would be a mess. I mean, it would have the Switch would already be hamstrung from the beginning, and the support would just get worse and worse and worse the more of a norm it becomes to have these faster speeds. Now, the thing that sucks is the price. They really suck. And there you go. We're finally in a race now, okay? It took us a while. So, so this is just sort of my point. If Nintendo wasn't, future-proofing their system, it would just be terrible news. Nothing would come to physical media anymore because it has to compete with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Not just, this is a last gen console, right? And it is already struggling loading stuff in with mechanical hard drive, 55 megabytes. And if Nintendo continued with those old cartridges, it would have the same problem and it would just accelerate, get worse and worse and worse. The more demanding games come, the more higher textures come, like current gen textures and stuff like that to the Switch 2. And you saw how much a hard disk struggles with last gen stuff. It would be a mess. And I'll be honest, if I purchased a physical game on the Switch 2 and it was 1/15th the speed of the digital download, I'd feel like an idiot. Why would I do that? So I just think there's the reason for it. Now, physical media is more expensive. I think I was trying to say that point, but interrupted myself. And that's because the new SD Express system are brand new. Samsung announced in February of 2024 that they would start production. So this technology is around a year old. And that's unfortunately why it's so expensive. These cards are potentially 10 or up to 15 times faster than the old cards. And they have to be because Nintendo are kind of in a rock and a hard place. Either they have to lower the speeds to lowest common denominator, having the internal and everything be at a level so people who purchased a physical game wouldn't feel cheated, or they have to bite the bullet, have the physical games be super fast so you can have the new technology, have the new standard that everyone is used to now on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and games like Monster Hunter Wilds can actually run on the system. The cost is they're more expensive. However, there is a silver lining here. Because it's new, this also means the technology is gonna get rapidly cheaper. So, for example, I purchased a 1 terabyte SD card for my Switch 1 back in 2019, about the time where Astral Chain was released. I don't exactly know what the price is in dollars, but it was 2,300 crowns. And that was on sale. So, yeah, it was pretty damn expensive. And I think if it was not on sale, it's 27 or something like that. That same card I can find for 900 crowns right now. So basically, if I didn't purchase on sale, it's a third the price now, and it might be even cheaper. I mean, I haven't looked for since last year, like back at last Black Friday, and so that's sort of where I'm going at. I think Nintendo needed to future-proof it. If physical media must continue to be a thing, it needs to be on the level that the new standards. And if they didn't, I think people will get fed up with it. Okay, can you imagine the outrage if Nintendo released a system and it has even worse loading times than the original Switch? I don't think that would have flown either way.